Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so welcome everyone. I guess I'll talk at you for most of this, but feel free to get in touch with me, um, about any of the stuff or ask questions in the chat. I actually want to share if at the start here, if you don't mind, I'm stealing an idea from someone else that did this. I just have a couple of questions and can grab your contact info um, via that link. Hopefully that works. Um, but I wanted to start by saying thanks for joining me. Um, this project I'm going to talk about has been a really exciting one, and is one that we're hoping to continue and grow. And so I'm hoping uh, you'll like what you hear, but also that you'll maybe think about ways that you can participate. So just as a little bit of background, I'm faculty at the School of Education at Indiana University, and we, uh, outside of the teaching and some of the research that I do, I oversee a makerspace that we're lucky enough to have in our School of Education. And then a couple years ago, we were able to get some funding for a maker van, and the idea with that was primarily to get out and into the community. We have a pretty rural area right outside of Bloomington. And so when we were hearing from schools, they were saying, we'd like to try out making, but we don't have the stuff. We don't have the people. How can we do this? And so we were able to get some funding. And the idea is that we've got the stuff. We have Paul Sircliffe with lots and lots of expertise and excitement who can go out and try to connect with educators in schools and out of school environments to try to help support learning and get more people doing making so that the lack of access to tools and materials was no longer a barrier. So, we're always looking for programs and ideas for how we can, implement more of this happening. And so a few years ago, was attending a meeting that a friend of mine was putting on in Croatia, and he introduced this idea of MyMachine, and had Pete, who is from MyMachine in Belgium, talk about their experience with starting MyMachine and what it's about, how it runs, what the network that they have globally, and just sort of became fascinated with it. So MyMachine started in about 2007 in Belgium, and I'll talk about sort of the core parts of it in a minute, but uh, it has spread to 47 countries, and I think there's about 13 different major chapters around the world. We started the MyMachine Indiana chapter at first a couple years ago, and we've been trying to engage and spread that beyond Indiana to a wider audience. And so we now consider ourselves MyMachine USA, and that's what we'll talk about here. So this is the process that we fell in love with really as soon as we heard about it. The process starts with young kids coming up with ideas that of a machine that they would love to see built, their dream machine, so to speak. Very simple prompt and a very simple idea. Basically, at the simplest, they're given a sheet of paper that's either blank or has, a space on the front for them to draw their idea, to name it, and to maybe answer a couple questions on the back that are, sort of like, what does it do? Maybe who is it for? That sort of thing. And so the process starts with those primary students jumping in and designing that. And then a key feature, just to mention, is even though, and we've done this ourselves before, right? Even though there might be the tendency to say, well, how about we focus this year on the Sustainable Development Goals, or how about this year we focus on recycling, or to constrain it in some ways. The MyMachine team globally, and now we really accept this idea as well. That a big thing that they want to keep pure to this is there's no constraint. You can do that in other projects, in other contests, But in this, there's no constraint on what the kids can come up with. And so they come up with these ideas, and I'll sort of add in some details on the process as I go here. But the primary school students come up with the ideas. They then get passed on to design students at the university level who are, similarly, who are older, but, developing their skills and understanding of what design is. And they basically treat those primary school students as their clients. And so just like they would with an adult client, they go back and forth, talk over the ideas, try to present some ideas, get feedback, and go through that process. And then they produce, it's changed over the years, I'll talk about that, but they basically produce a set of designs and drawings, potentially, a small scale prototype. And those then get passed on to students at the high school level. And so far, and typically across the world, these are students who are training to do a vocational and technical program. I've talked with Liz about the potential of having students who are engaged in Fab Labs, later high school making classes could participate in this as well. And then those students take the ideas that the kids had and the designs that the university students created and basically bring all those together in a working prototype, to the best of their abilities. So that's the process. So far, the first year we did this, we were able to engage a local school district, so it was all local. They already had a fourth grade maker fair that we had, or maker challenge that we had helped to generate. And so they wanted to use that platform to host this. Even though, Pete from Belgium had said, I think that's probably a little too old, but just get some experience in doing this. I think he was right. There was a lot of projects that were not very dreamy, not very out there. They were very practical. Which is not a bad thing, but just, it changed the nature of things. It did work really well to go from 35 fourth grade classrooms across the district and 14 schools down to just 4 projects. So that works quite well, and that's something that we'll have to keep going in the future. Because it was local, the design students from the university could pretty easily go out and meet with the elementary students and the high school students. So that piece worked well. And then the high school students, we have a local high school that worked great for this, but they didn't get to do a lot. The design students in the middle, they essentially overproduced. And then the high school students, when they got the project, they saw okay, there's not much to do here. Maybe we can tinker with this a little bit, or sort of add some artwork or something like that. But there wasn't a lot to do. So we were trying to figure out how to, that was a learning from that experience. In year 2, we tried to get a little bit bigger. So we moved away from the local district. We went to another district that was about 45 minutes away from here for the elementary school, the same design students at the university. And then we brought in a high school from Wisconsin. So now we were across 2 different states. And we did it with second graders, absolutely the right level. And good ideas, good variation. It was a little less local, so it was a little bit harder to get out to have the various groups participate with each other. But we did a lot of that over Zoom. For the university students, they saw a lot of the flashy, blinky bits that the kids wanted in their project. And they thought, well, that's not fundamental to how that machine needs to work. And unfortunately, they sort of designed those out through the process. So after we revealed the projects in year 2, which is the last piece of all of these is this reveal, we absolutely felt like we have to go back and say, no, we need those things that the kids are excited about, the disco ball, the laser eyes, all those things need to be in there, even if they don't seem to be fundamental to how the machine might work. And then the high school students, we tried to give them a little bit more freedom in how they were participating. But I think their teacher would say he maybe gave them a little bit too much leash. And when they were saying, as it was coming down to the wire, we'll get it done, we'll get it done, it ended up that not all the projects were finished in the way that they would have hoped. And so we're trying to sort of figure out the best way to give the right amount of support, the right amount of openness there. But we were successful in basically using like a freight system to ship the projects, which were relatively big, on a pallet, and ship them down so that they were available. So again, with each of these steps, we were learning a few things. And just for time's sake, I'm going to keep going and not show the video clip, but
so real quick,
yeah,
Adam, they said they're going to let us go to like 327 or till like 327 or 328. So you have a couple extra.
Okay. So then maybe I'll just show it like a minute of the clip here.
Those communication struggles.
Can you hear that?
That just made their friendship bonds even stronger than what they already were.
So how about the peppermint snowman inventors? Come on up here and join me. 1, 2, 3. Whoa! All right.
Getting to see them put so much effort into designing something and, you know, working out the kinks and working as a group as well, it has been awesome. Like seeing that collaboration between them is probably my favorite part, because I think collaboration can bring out a lot of the best qualities in them.
So you can, when I send you the link to the video or to the PowerPoint, the slide, you can, the link will be in there for the video. We're now in year 3, and this is the cohort we just had a gathering about a week and a half ago to get everyone on the same page. The general timeline has been that because the design class is offered January through March, that the designs can come in really anytime up until mid-January. Then they get handed over to the design students. And then when that class is over, they hand those projects over to the high school students in early March. And then there's the build phase, which goes until usually late April, early May. And then we do some sort of reveal. So this is just a screen grab from the Zoom meeting we had of everyone trying to get on the same page and understanding the timeline. Like I said, we're in the middle of it right now. We have this year a school from there's going to be first grade from a school in New Jersey. And then we have the same school in Indiana that wants to participate again. We have the same set of design students. And one of the things that we're going to change there is, rather than really getting a small set and a well-defined idea of like a machine with what it needs to contain, we want to broaden that scope to give them more to work with. So we have many of the students within a given class creating their own design of the selected machine for a class, and trying to not filter that out and trying to get across to them. Your designers the people you're serving are in first and second grade. They want, again, those bells and whistles. That's what they're keen on. So don't take those out unless you think it's going to be dangerous or can't be done. So trying to make sure that there's enough sort of joy and whimsy still built into the process. With the high school students, we're going to, again, work with the same class in Wisconsin. And the idea similarly there is not to make it that the design students have sort of determined exactly what it's going to look like and act like, that those students get to use their developing skills to figure out how to interpret what the elementary students want, what the design students created, and to have a little bit more maybe check-ins and coaching to make sure that they're sort of moving forward in the process.
Good. 4 minutes left.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Because we're now starting to spread and talk to more schools, they're starting to wonder, okay, what else can be part of this? So we're trying to think about, potential. One of the art teachers in one of the classes has a patent, and I think was even on Shark Tank at some point. So, how can we have her talk to the kids about that experience so that they can realize that this really is, foundational to coming up with ideas that solve problems. And then we're also trying to think about, now that we've done this a couple of times, just things, within the process to streamline it. So how do we take in projects? How are we gonna do certain things throughout? And what timeline can we stick to so that everyone sort of knows that in advance? These are just two of the ideas that came to us in the last couple of weeks. One is basically on the left is a sock bundling machine that takes all sorts of separate socks and bundles them together, which definitely seems like something that could be really useful. And then on the right, I can't, it's like in the shack corner, I guess. Yeah, so part of the fun is trying to interpret, and this is where actually getting some word or having them speak on video is great. It helps you to sort of understand what it is that they're trying to get at, because the drawings are not always really clear there. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to give the design students and the high school students just more to work with, so they've got a better sense of all the little, levers and doohickeys that are going to sort of go into a machine to make it work. Just as we're sort of wrapping up here, I know that Goldilocks ideas are sort of right, they're fantasy, but we want to try to figure out the right way to maybe standardize, quote unquote, the right balance of projects that are sort of interesting ideas, have a lot of fun in them, but are also feasible for our students to work with. One of the ideas that came up before was a snowman with laser eyes. I think the first year, and the design students didn't know what to do with that, right? And so thinking about how we can leverage everyone's funds of knowledge and where they are, but also still try to give them a chance to learn from it, and still try to not say no to a project just because it might not be in somebody's wheelhouse. Again, I think the key thing that I wanted to share is we're trying to figure out how to expand. The picture on the right is meant to show sort of a bottleneck. There's definitely a bottleneck with, we only have one university design class right now. We're trying to figure out how to get more design classes. And then at phase 3, more high school students who are capable and willing, and who have educators who are open to the idea of just taking on these open-ended projects, trying to do the best they can to produce something out of that. And then for the elementary students, at the simplest, like I said, they draw something and then it sort of leaves them, and they talk to the people at the different stages, but they don't really do much more than that. We want to try to figure out better ways to engage them in designing their own prototypes, or sort of supporting their learning about engineering and design further along. And then, as probably many of you are aware, like, some of it comes down to funding. And it's not that we will stop doing this, but we'll do the best we can even without funding. But there are real costs to trying to organize this, the logistics of it, the shipping of these projects. There haven't been real materials costs yet, but at some point we want to be able to support people who are participating for that. And so, yeah, so that's one of the things there.
So real quick, before the breakout room closes, it seemed you had a question about a school.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can see that.
Yeah, it is. I won't remember the district exactly, but it's a district right outside of Madison, Wisconsin. And again, I'm happy to put you in touch with the high school teacher there if you get in touch with me. And that's really just what this last slide is. You can see our website with a decent amount of this information and a lot of the videos that are great to watch at mymachineUSA.org. Feel free to email me, and then the QR code will take you through that same quick survey that I shared the link for before. And if you sort of fill that out, then I'll have your email and I'll follow up with people about sending the slide link and the information.